So just to be one with what is the isness of now, to recognize that what is just as it is, and this moment could not be any other way except through the mind's interpretation and creation. That this moment just is, and you just are, and just resting here. The isness of being, the absolute unbounded presence of being. The heart knows the fullness of the infinite unbounded field of being, this still silent presence, the unwavering, unmoving, that which is unwavering and unmoving is watching the moving changing, and yet that which is watching, that which is aware, is not affected or disturbed by the moving changing ebbs and flows of life. It's like a deep relaxation, dropping underneath the mental activity and the noise of life as an exploration, as a discovery of a much wider possibility of the consciousness and an ability to experience yourself in a much wider, broader context than the mind activity, to open to the field through the presence of being and just being here, just being infused with the dynamic frequencies of the field, where the field knows itself, consciousness is conscious and awake to itself, and there's a frequency shift from fear and lack and stress to the frequency of the still silent presence, a frequency of openness, and a deep natural peace is here, just abiding within itself. And just being here and being infused, like soaking in the fine, subtle frequencies of the transmission field that you enter through presence. Nothing to do, nothing to achieve, no way to get it wrong. Just to be here just as you are. It's about receiving, opening to receive, and being open to receive deep rest, a deep rest and relaxation, where you're just here and you're not thinking about anything that you need to do, and you're not scrolling on your phone or computer. You're just here, and there's nothing to create as a special environment, just to be here, just with this moment, just as it is, just to be so present as yourself. To be present as yourself is to be present as presence itself. But nothing to try to understand, nothing to orchestrate. There is an intelligence that is orchestrating everything. And the great news is you can rest and relax and just allow the intelligence to take care of everything. Everything is being taken care of. You are being taken care of. You are held. You are so deeply held, so deeply cared for, so profoundly loved and supported right now, so held, so cared for, so loved, so supported. So you can relax, stop, let go of all the ideas of what needs to be done, and just be here and receive. Receive the transmission of the field of grace, the field of blessings. You don't have to understand the words. You don't have to do anything. Just be here just as you are. This wide open field of silent being, just being itself. And in the resting here, you realize that what you are is this incredible field of silent being. It's like the consciousness that you are shifts its perspective of seeing to realize that you're not limited, that you are unlimited and free. You are open. And the openness is a field of love. Love is openness in truth. This moment is undivided. There is no separation and no limitation, no constraint. To receive the moment undivided, the fullness of this moment, in the receptivity to what is, just this moment, just as it is. The open receptivity allows a resting because there's nothing to control or change, nothing to fix or understand, nothing to achieve, nowhere to get to. You're already here. You never left. It's this incredible reconnection to the source, the truth of who you are, and this deep resonance of familiarity, of remembrance, that you already know this. The heart knows this. The being knows its own beingness. You already are everything that is sought for. It's all here, and you are it, that. Mm. And so just to rest and receive, just to feel the profundity of actually deeply resting and just receiving the deep transmission frequencies of the field. Profound and subtle light transmission happening now. The nervous system, the consciousness being recalibrated and upgraded just through resting, just through being open and receptive. Everything is shifting. You are being recalibrated, upgraded in the presence of love. Love is holding you so profoundly as to shift the frequencies of discordance and lack. When we open to the presence of love, love is the one power. To open to the presence of love is to open to the one power and to be so present to this moment and enter the field of transmission. Enter into the transmission field of grace, of light, of love, of blessings, and to receive yourself, the frequencies of yourself that bring the remembrance of wholeness. Receive the light frequencies and codes that bring shifting and recalibration to the consciousness, that opens up the realms of consciousness that have been dormant. The intelligence itself knows exactly what each being needs, and opening the frequencies and codes of the consciousness to finer and more subtle possibility, activation, that the greater dynamic intelligence of all that you are starts to be infused, as if coming alive. The whole apparatus, the whole structuring of consciousness has always been here, but we've only been using a part of it. And as the consciousness evolves and remembers the fullness of itself, the dormant parts start to be activated by the deeper and more subtle intelligence that bring online the intelligence of a knowing where consciousness knows itself, where the being itself is so simple in its beingness that just simply being is where the deep infusion happens. The beingness, knowing its own beingness as a field of silent being, activates and it opens more refined light frequencies that bring forward the possibilities of knowing yourself, restoring intuitive knowing, restoring and activating capacities and abilities to be more fine-tuned to the intuitive, natural capacities, that you remember what you've always known, right? You remember the deep intuitive knowing of the heart. The intelligence activates and brings online finer and finer subtle frequencies of consciousness, knowing itself. And the transmission recalibrates and refines. And there's nothing to understand about these words. There's nothing to know, nothing to do. The words are just carrying the transmission of light frequencies. Nothing to understand, nothing to get, because you already are. Just to receive yourself, open to yourself. Allow the deeper currents of yourself to reveal a greater and more subtle, brilliant truth about you in the fullness of who you are. Allow new horizons in the landscape of consciousness to open that you are unprepared for. You will be astonished at what is possible that you could not have imagined. Open to the transmission of the realms of light that bring a greater sense of your true fullness, your true wholeness, to be available. To be available to saturate the whole sense of who you are with finer and more subtle frequencies and allow a deeper weaving through your lived experience of the fibers and threads of the unified field into a substance of absolute unquestionable knowing of yourself. The intelligence knows and is constantly weaving the fibers and threads of light, intelligence, into the most refined structures aligned with the laws of nature to bring forward the conscious knowing of consciousness, of its own beingness as an awake field, a field of light intelligence that's flowing within itself. Sometimes we call this light intelligence a flowing field of bliss, but light and bliss are the same. Bliss is light, and light is bliss. It's a deep peace, a deep sense of peace, where there's no sense of trying and just a total naturalness, where the light transmission field is flowing within itself as a field of consciousness that knows itself, is awake to itself, and is free flowing within itself, and is flowing constantly to refine itself, reorganize and recalibrate itself, and constantly upgrading and reorganizing so that we can always be living at our most refined capacity. And the organization is so entire and multidimensional that it's working in every realm and dimension simultaneously to upgrade and recalibrate itself to the finest and most subtle possibility. You don't need to imagine anything. You don't need to create ideas with your mind. They will only limit what is possible. Know nothing. Know absolutely nothing. And this is the most open and potent field in the knowing of nothing and not hanging on to anything. The intelligence itself is flowing just to be here as an open field of being, open to the landscape of your own consciousness. Let the light take up residence in more subtle frequencies in every single fiber of your being. Let the silence, the stillness infuse every cell and thread of you with silent dimensional frequencies of light. Nothing you can or cannot do. The inner yes that allows the floodgates of light and activation to come rushing in. The imbalances harmonize. It's an even playing field. It's a wide open field. The imbalances harmonize. The field is unified, harmonious. There's a blissful, illuminated equanimity here. Just to allow the intelligence of the light to illuminate and reveal and reorganize. And in that reorganization, receive the upgrades that you are ready for. Just to say yes inside your heart. Just as your heart knows, because your heart is the intelligence. So that intelligence knows itself as a field. And as you enter your heart's knowing, you enter the sense of the knowing of the being, knowing yourself as a field of silent being. And just receiving yourself here, the full glory of yourself. There is only one power, and that power is love, is God and glory, is light itself. And just to be here and recognize the frequency of presence, to recognize yourself as a resonant being, a being of resonant light, like a vibration. And as you attune to the resonance of the vibratory field, the sense of you being divided and limited starts to be recalibrated to remember the unlimited, undivided. And again, a harmonizing and rebalancing is happening. It's like equalizing, decompressing from dwelling in conceptual space and time, decompressing from holding yourself through mind consciousness in limitation and story, being attached to drama. That everything that we think matters doesn't matter in the way that we think it does. It's like nothing matters, and yet everything matters. It doesn't matter in the ways that we give importance to fear and get consumed and taken over by fear. But everything matters as a unified field. And that's why the technology of love and light is about including everything, receiving this moment just as it is, including everything, welcoming all that is here, and allowing that equalizing and rebalancing to happen, bringing a sense of union, like a remembrance of union, the unified field. That you are not divided from wholeness. You are not limited in any way. There is only one power. And if we allow that power to be known through our knowing, we reconnect to the frequency of source, of love, of God and glory. And then we are nourished and resourced from the true and only power. And in this nourishment, this divine nourishment, we know the oneness of the field. In a way, it's about being it, opening to this presence of being and recognition, recognizing through the fine intelligence that actually it reorders and recalibrates the brain. It reorders and recalibrates the systems. In a way, the sense of the bodily systems and the nervous system are recalibrated, rejuvenated, so that we have the capacity to recognize, to be the being, but also to embody the being, embody the light, to know it. So to be the being and open to the field and the fine frequencies and the sense of vastness and the absolute and the still silent presence, but also to embody it and to recognize the felt sense of the presence and your beingness as being vast and infinite and being here now, and that the light is able to enter the body and the systems and recalibrate and rejuvenate so that there can be an embodiment. It's as if we make a body of light. We shift from the density of the physicality being like our primary sense. We open through the subtle body, and as we refine, it's as if we create a light body. And the finer frequencies recalibrate and rejuvenate the sense of the physicality, and the systems are recalibrated to be more subtle and more light drenched, until all of our systems are resonating at light frequencies, not at dense kind of physical frequencies that are struggling to digest life, right? So the sense of our physicality is often struggling to digest life, struggling to digest food that's been created. It's like eating concrete and cardboard and trying to live in fear frequencies and not really being able to keep digesting the fear frequencies. So this rebalancing that happens, it's happening right now in the system. This rebalancing that happens where we have heaviness in our systems. All of our body systems are being given an overhaul through by light right now. The spotlight is on the body systems. So the nervous system is being upgraded. And as the nervous system is upgraded, the consciousness is upgraded. And this happens very simply in the sense of being the field of presence. And that's, we notice it in quite an obvious way, that we feel more regulated in the nervous system and less jittery and anxious and frazzled. We start to feel more calm. So the nervous system is being recalibrated through dropping into the field of presence, relaxation and receptivity. And as the other systems are being illuminated, it's like as the intelligence comes online, we start to be messaged differently about the way that we move. We get messaged differently through the intelligence as our nervous system regulates, and as we become more connected to the field of presence and intelligence and receiving upgrades and recalibrations and transmissions. We are we're being messaged differently. So we naturally start to receive messages, intelligence through our own beingness, multidimensional beingness. We start receiving different messages that start refining things like, in very simple terms, what we eat, right? We just start going towards certain things that feel cleaner and easier to digest. And we kind of just start naturally becoming more intuitive. It's not about, it's never, any of this isn't about a one size fits all. We just start being more intuitive about how we function more efficiently and smoothly and more lightly. And what we mean by that is that we feel more light, as in we feel lighter and brighter and more alive, right? Because the subtlety of our systems is being upgraded, and the intelligence is upgrading all of our systems in this way. All of our systems are constantly attempting to balance themselves and purify themselves. And we will be messaged through the intelligence, in a way guided by divine guidance, and will be shown possibilities. And in a way, all that we really are being invited into is to be more awake and aware in life, to kind of receive the messaging, the subtle messaging, and not override the messaging by habit and desire, we could say, but to receive the messaging through frequency. So once we start really attuning to this field of frequency, we start feeling the more refined frequencies, and it might even be like, oh, those apples are resonating at a finer frequency. I want those apples, right? You just start noticing. And it's the same with everything. This environment feels more resonant. We just start receiving this frequency messaging where we can read the frequency because we're resting in this frequency field, and we start to feel and be able to constantly be rebalancing and recalibrating, recognizing the frequency of fear and stress and division and lack and doubt, scarcity. And as we rebalance and we keep going deeper and rebalancing and bringing ourselves consciously to the field, this intelligence is coming online, and it's weaving its way as light fibers and threads into all of the areas of our life and our systems, like multidimensionally. And we just start to notice that things are shifting. And as things are shifting and our systems are being upgraded, it's like we're opening to the subtle body where we can read frequency and we can read the intelligence of our own lives. And we're not just being so steamrolled by habit and desire, that we're actually open to realize when we feel good, what is being invited, what is possible. And we just get more and more refined at honing and the subtlety of what messages are coming in, to get enough rest and to not keep overriding, and in a way not keep overriding by bringing stimulation, to try to stimulate ourselves when the body is really wanting to rest or be quiet, right? We just start noticing. And as the systems are refining and the subtlety is being refined and the recalibrations are happening, we are creating the light body. We're creating a light body, a bliss body, in a way, the frequency of the bliss body, as the Anandamaya Kosha has always been present. The bliss body is always present. And yet we're so not used to attuning with it and vibrating as the bliss body. And so it's as if we're just opening to refine the subtlety and capacity for really resonating and vibrating as a bliss body, a body of bliss. Now, while these bodies are being refined and upgraded, we can find a lot of heat comes through the system. A lot of heat can be involved in these deep processes of refinement. Burning away the density, burning away the habits and desires, burning away the dross. And then we're just left with this sacred ash. And that sacred ash is a blessing. It's a constant blessing. Like a snake shedding its skin. And it's like the way that we could say like a butterfly metamorphosizes, or a dragonfly metamorphosizes, right? That we go through these stages of metamorphosis. Ultimately, we never know what is ahead, right? Like that little underwater creature is just happy doing its best being a little underwater creature. It's got no idea that one day it's going to climb up and metamorphosize into a dragonfly, right? And the same with the butterfly, right? The little caterpillar is just caterpillaring around. It doesn't know how, doesn't even know it's coming, right? But the metamorphosis is just nature's way of carrying us inward, changing the perspective and field of possibility, opening us to new horizons. So we allow this metamorphosis to happen. That there's an intelligence that's carrying everything. And ultimately, the recalibration is bringing us to our most vibrant, vital, profoundly resourced, true, essential nature, and it's flowering as an embodiment of the divine, of light in the human and earth realm. That we're being invited to flower uniquely, to live the magnificence of our unique configuration. And that's why comparison and competition is a waste of time. Trying to live someone else's dream or life or field of possibilities when what the divine needs at this time is for each of us to uniquely be living the greatest grace of possibility, to embody love in the exact refined and unique configuration that we are each to embody love, so that we can be a vehicle of transmission and carry the light and love frequencies to the surface of life for all humanity and the earth. And we can only be that instrument when we are in the fullness of our uniqueness. There's no one else to be but you. So in the resting here and receiving the recalibrations and upgrades that are happening as you rest, as you relax, all of the systems are being lit up, illuminated. Subtle reconfigurations are happening. And the subtle reconfigurations that are happening by virtue of the power of the One. As we align with that one field of presence, the alignment brings an allegiance, a reconfiguring of our allegiance from the fear frequency and division. It brings an allegiance that weaves us back into the fabric of the unified field. So that we are being nourished by the divine, we are being resourced from source, and we know it. We are guided and supported and held and cared for. We are so profoundly blessed. So resting here and receiving the grace, letting the heart resonate at the frequency of yes, of gratitude, of openness. And as we join and align here at these subtle, finer frequencies, our joining is a reverberant field that is affecting the whole. The whole field of consciousness receives the reverberations. Cannot be measured. The profundity and the reach of the reverberations as we gather and join in the fine frequencies of presence and openness and peace. The frequencies of presence and openness, the love and deep peace are brought to the surface of life as we embody this, as we live this, as we walk as a field of reverberant peace and love and light. We are touching everything in the human earth realm with this light. And our lived experience is rich, and we're willing to receive everything, because as a reverberant field of love and light, a field that knows itself as unified, the technology illuminates and receives everything. There is no other. In a divided way, we're joined as one heart field, one field of love, one field of silent being. And as we are infused here, we're receiving the divine nourishment, the nectarine bliss of subtle light frequencies being upgraded and rejuvenated. And so just resting here, just resting here and receiving, opening to the intelligence, the exploration of the field of consciousness, the landscape of your own consciousness, this wide open field, just being open to receive the intelligence, the upgrades and recalibrations, the activations. Are you awake to the field of presence? Are you aware of the transmission of light? Are you saying yes to receive the full grace of yourself? You are being invited into a deeper and fuller direct knowing of yourself in the realms of silent being. The being itself knows its own beingness, and it's recognized as the heart knowing. The knowing that knows only itself is pure knowledge, pure and simple, just being, just simply being. being here, here now, being together, joining as a field that is unified, one power, one source, one God and glory, one love, one heart. Just to receive yourself here. Just resting here. Resting as the field of being. Resting as the field of silent transmission. Receiving yourself. Receiving the finer and subtler frequencies and codes of your own consciousness. Receiving the knowing that is just simply here in being yourself. That the innermost being confirms through the sense of knowing, simple knowing, that is presence itself, knowing its own presence. This is the one field of self, the one self field, the field of self-light, the self that is God and glory, where you are one with God and glory, belonging to the field of wholeness. What's happening now? Just to notice. Are thoughts coming and going? Are you aware of the thoughts that are coming and going? Aware of yourself being the awareness that is watching? Is the field still and silent? Are you underneath the mind consciousness and open to the full landscape of consciousness, conscious and awake to itself? Are you aware of the unbounded, silent field that is infinite? Can you recognize the sense of timeless presence, of just being here, now? Recognizing, recognizing the depth of the silent being that you are. The fullness of this moment, including everything. Open, receptive, awake awareness welcomes it all, includes it all, The moment is undivided. The simplicity of what is, with no resistance, no control, just being absolutely open to this moment and the fullness of what is here. In receiving the fullness of this moment, receiving the fullness of yourself, receiving a greater capacity of your own consciousness. Consciousness is a flow of intelligence. Receiving the flow of light intelligence, recalibrating, upgrading, bringing online more refined capacities, activating the light codes of consciousness that have been dormant, and restoring the recognition of connection to Source, and receiving the full flood of divine light nourishment in your nervous system, in all of your systems. A flood of divine light nourishment. Constant messages, opening to receive the guidance, open to receive the divine support. That you are never alone. That this unfolding is not a personal unfolding. It is one whole, like a murmuration of consciousness. We are moving as one. And as the consciousness is evolving and opening and refining in its awakeness as a field, knowing itself and receiving the finer and finer subtle transmissions, we come to recognize that this is not about the me. This is the surrender of the me into the flow of wholeness. That we recognize that the lived experience as a field of consciousness, as we welcome and receive and transmute, it touches the whole field of consciousness. Everything is moving as one unified field. And as we deepen in our recognizing of this directly, all of life starts to feel brighter. The recognizing that this is one field, and you and your life is an absolutely integral part of the evolution of the whole consciousness. That as you take responsibility for your own creation and transmutation and meeting and transformation and evolution, that all of life is the evolution of consciousness. And as we enter the flow of life, as life itself, knowing this field is unified, that we're never apart. We're never apart from God and glory. We're never apart from each other. We're never apart from the wholeness, the one power. We are never apart from love. We are never apart from truth. It's just about receiving the glorious invitation in every moment here now and saying yes to the frequencies of pure power and truth, saying yes to the love and the holding, saying yes to the miracles that are apparent in love, saying yes to the grace and the blessings, saying yes to the support and the guidance, saying yes to see deeper and wider beyond what we have imagined is in our limited capacity, being open to new horizons presenting themselves, to stop moving the furniture around the room and open the door and walk through the open door without knowing where it is leading. Just to walk through the open door, releasing the confinement and constriction, and opening to the landscape of your own unbounded, unbridled, unabandoned wildness of consciousness that is free, liberated within itself, and yet to feel the deep embodiment of that in the capacity to meet life, receive life, and feel life, to be fully open to the fullness of life, the grace and glory of the extraordinary adventure of a human life as a divine life. And so resting here and receiving yourself, deep relaxation, open receptivity, a heart resounding with an almighty yes that allows your life to be recognized to be the flow of life that brings you into allegiance with all of life, with the glory, with the divine, with the flow of grace. Allowing your systems to be repatterned to the divine frequencies. We surrender control. We surrender fear and say yes to love and openness. We surrender lack and doubt and scarcity to the glorious flow of abundance and freedom. We surrender limitation to wholeness, to fullness, to the cup floweth over, beyond the wildest imaginings. And we surrender misery and sadness to joy and delight. We surrender the sense of needing to know to an open sense of childlike awe and wonder. We surrender the sense of limitation and holding back, containment, to the explosive expansion into the fullness of metamorphosis. We surrender holding back, to fly in freedom, to soar the heights and breadths and depths of the fullness of a life lived, aligned with the one power and open as love. We surrender concealment to revealment and grace, willing to be seen and revealed in the full glory and magnificence and uniqueness of a flower fully in bloom with its own natural, glorious perfume. We surrender the deep conditioned no to a willingness and courageousness to enter into the flow of life and to fully take part, to be invigorated and vital and to come alive in ways that your soul and heart can dance in the fullness of light and freedom and beauty. Yes, great glory. Yes, I'm ready and willing to fully take part in my own life. Fill me with your light. Fill me with vitality and flows of grace and bliss. Upgrade my systems. Fill me with exuberance and fire and flow. Fill me with light. That I may embody this light. Let every cell of this body be saturated with light frequencies divine. Let every cell and fiber of this being be saturated with love and all-inclusive knowing. Let the frequency of this field and its offering be a holy, almighty yes. Yes, great glory. Yes. May I embody the magnificence and awe my heart is yours. I walk in your love. This life is yours. I walk in your light. Empty. I am filled with your grace. I am filled with your blessings. I am filled with your love.